Welcome back to the Curated Beauty Podcast. My name is Jessica Christie. I'm your host. I sometimes ask myself when I hit record, who is this podcast for? Who am I talking to? Sometimes I'm talking about functional medicine. Sometimes I'm talking about medical aesthetics. Sometimes I'm talking about how to lead and inspire your team and what to do in all the instances that no one actually prepares you for. So when I hit record today, it was because I think that mindset is so important in all of this. And I really want the audience that I'm speaking to really embrace that concept of mindset. And so when I think about who is this for, it's for med spa owners, for injectors, for entrepreneurs who want to scale beyond just trading time for money and being a high paid employee within your own business. It is for people who wonder what the heck is going on inside of my brain. And so today we're going to dive into the mindset shifts and the business strategies that separate the struggling practices from those that are scaling to seven figures and beyond, and really kind of the insight on how to start doing that. I think it's really important to look at how success leaves really pertinent clues. And if you study top performing aesthetic practices and those that lead those teams, a lot of common patterns emerge, and they're probably a lot more simple than what you're trying to implement. It is really a lot of concept of the inputs, not necessarily focusing on the outputs. I think that being on the tail end of January ending and now we're into February, how many of you set goals in January? I would hope if you're leading a business, you at least set some quarterly goals or some pie in the sky idea goals, or that you're at least thinking about goals. But if you're not hitting the actual goal, what are you focusing on? And are you allowing the miss of the goal to knock your confidence? In our business, we talk about how we sell confidence, and we really do that and build that in ourselves as well. There's a lot of different things that we do and focus on to build confidence. Right now, we're working on, as collaboratively as a group, the 21-day positive focus, where we're writing down 5 wins at the end of the day. The reason why that's important and further progress, what if we took to the next level? What specific actions are we going to take? That 21 days is shifting our mindset. It's helping us to focus on the things that we've gained, not just how far we have to go to hit the mark. Um, I also really encourage our team to focus on wins, not only in our weekly level 10 meetings that we have on Monday mornings. Weekly meetings are so important, not only for keeping everyone bought into the vision, but also for being super transparent about where we're going and reminding everyone of that, because you can get lost on that journey without a lot of checkpoints. Daily, we check in on Slack, whatever tool that you may use for internal communication. And we start with wins. Like, what did you accomplish yesterday? What are your wins? Before we move on to our priorities and our obstacles. And so there are the little things, all the little things that you may be doing that are really incrementally adding up. So I think that, let's look at the success mindset to start. How do seven figure owners think differently? Well, I think that they see themselves as CEOs and not just injectors or whatever specialty you may be in. Are you really the technician in that, or are you taking that a step back from that to actually lead your team? I had to take such a powerful shift from being the provider to being a business leader. And it was really hard in so many ways. Let me count them, right? So one of them was I had to take a huge revenue hit. As a provider, I could bring in $2 million in revenue with a really, really, really high profit margin. That's hard to walk away from. I don't look at it like that. I look at it as, wow, what an amazing insurance policy I have if I ever I had taken a risk that wasn't working out so well. Or as I stare down the barrel of wanting to potentially open up a place down here in Florida and have a pop up of beauty culture and cultured wellness. So when I really thought about that shift of going to the business leader from the provider, that was really tough for me because I also had to let go a lot of what I wrapped my identity in. I was really good at delivering before and afters. I was really good at being able to engage our patients and keep our retention rates really high. I was really good at being able to market and show what I was doing and bring that in. And it really took a lot of trust in my team, trust in myself that I was putting the right parameters to build the right teams, and really focusing on hiring talent that will complement the weaknesses that I have. So, being visionary, I definitely don't have a lot of follow through. I don't have a lot of implementation per se. I really like to come up with ideas. But if no one's running the ball on these ideas and no one's implementing, there's a really great book called Rocket Fuel where it talks about the visionary and the implementer and how they need each other. There's not one that's better than the other. If you don't have one, you really don't have anything. And so I really had to think about how can I round out my team and how can I really think about leading and take off the hat of, wow, I did this. It's now giving credit to the people on my team that are moving with such synergy. Today, I literally just got off of a meeting where we're redoing our website. We're creating more of a shopping experience for our patients. We have a skincare quiz, but then, like, what happens with that? I really want people to come in and I want people to get their aesthetic treatments from our amazing estheticians and skincare experts and aesthetic providers. But what if they can't do that and they just can do skincare? We think about the target of all the different people, the complexities of who we can have points of contact with. They're not all going to be people that we necessarily can lay hands on and do treatments for in the office. They might be people that are just watching social media or within that bubble, maybe they purchase skincare. And so I want that experience to be amazing. And it took a long time to find the right person to align with to make that vision come true. But I will say that it is not me creating these bundles and shopping experiences and mulling over every single font or hex code for the color of this new website and shopping experience. It is my team. I have an amazing marketing director, Kayla, and then Lauren LB, as you may know her in the office, creating and curating, so to speak, these experiences for people and putting the products that make sense for them to go together so that patients maybe are buying a retinol because they read on, Reddit or TikTok that that was good, but what else could complement their regimen for someone who has oily skin or is concerned about wrinkles? And so it's just a great example of how I'm not doing this all. I am employing people who want to be leaders. I'm employing entrepreneurs and I am really getting to reap the benefits of not only leading them and watching them flourish, which makes me so happy. Also, our business is growing all together and everyone gets cut in on that. So it's really, really exciting. I also think that the mindset of successful entrepreneurs, they are focusing on outcomes, not procedures. So no longer are we trying to sell 3 syringes, get 1 for free. I came from a practice that did that, and it just worked terribly. Or no longer are we doing annual sales where it's like, "Stock up on your Botox so that it's the cheapest possible." And, it's really about high performing practices, not just selling Botox and filler. We're selling transformations. We're selling confidence. I always liken it back to when I redid my house and the drywall installation came into play. I wasn't buying boxes of drywall nails and sheets of drywall and tape and mud. I was buying the outcome. I wanted my house drywalled. I wanted the project completed. I wanted to move on to the next step. And so, really, it's moving away from kind of that unit pricing of just selling a syringe and moving to the outcome that the patient is looking for. When you're when we do our consultations, we are asking them, how are you feeling when you're looking in the mirror? What age related changes are you seeing that maybe made you make this appointment? Are you getting ready for anything in life like changes, weddings for children? Maybe you're back in the job market. Maybe you got divorced. Or maybe you're just seeing these things and your friend came here and she's getting great results and you guys are sitting around at book club and you were like, okay, tell us what the secret is, Janet. Where you been going? So when we think about that, our patients should never be commoditizing us and saying, well, I heard that I should get 12 units in my glabella and 6 in my forehead. Like, that's not how it works anymore. We are medical professionals providing you with an amazing outcome from an assessment that takes place with our medical knowledge and experience. And we can basically at that point move towards, results guaranteed because we are selling an outcome, not a syringe of filler. It is not up to the patient to decide how many syringes of filler they need in their face. It's up to us. And while we do have very smart consumers, it's just not an appropriate use of a conversation to really talk units anymore. It's really about moving towards, hey, let's correct your mid face because you have volume loss that's being impacted by the bone, the deep fat pads, the superficial fat pads, the muscle, all of those sorts of things. And then providing options. Does the patient want a more immediate result? Maybe we're reaching for some hyaluronic acid filler, dermal filler. Or are they interested in avoiding filler? And they may want a more regenerative process, which we're working on these amazing protocols and really going to be the industry leaders in regenerative facial aesthetics, which is super exciting. And another success mindset that I'll touch on before I move on to the business strategies is these people that the seven-figure owners, how they think differently, they're investing in their own growth, in their own coaching. And again, it brings it back to when I was sitting in those shoes of the really high paid employee in my own business. I did not fully embrace mastermind groups or mentorship or working with a business coach. I have worked with a couple of different business coaches and they have been life changing for me. Um, I wasn't prepared by myself to make the decisions that I made with the encouragement of people who have been here and who have taken those steps and have seen the success in other people of what I was trying to do. And so it's really painting and paving the way for what that looks like, which is super exciting. And I think another thing about investing in your own growth is surrounding yourself with higher level thinkers. You know, the sayings like you're the combination of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. Who are you surrounding your time with? Are you kind of canoodling with people who are just tearing other people down in the industry because of jealousy and lack? Or are you collaborating with the best in the business? And are you putting yourself in those circles? Moving on from there, obviously mindset is important, but what are the business strategies behind this? Well, I kind of touched on this, but this has been a huge priority and goal for us in Q1 at Beauty Culture and Cultured Wellness, defining the patient journey and the sales and leads process. So there's a real big difference between reactive versus proactive practices. And implementing our coined journey called the elite patient journey takes our patient from the point where they hear about us to calling to coming in for a consultation with one of our providers to follow up. And so we have really worked on stacking our tech, of making sure that things talk to each other, of giving really great expectations to our providers about what's expected in terms of reaching out. And this has really created the framework for following and nurturing a patient versus just saying, call this number for some Botox. And you come once and you never come back. We all know the cost of turnover in not only employees, but also our patients. And we really aim to retain the right kind of patient that we're trying to market to. So we want to really master retention and recurring revenue models. This may look like memberships. This may look like packages. If your outcome is going to take 3 of the radiofrequency microneedling treatments with all the, potential exosomes and the at-home care, then bundle that all together and make sure that if it's going to take 3 treatments to get them that outcome, that you're selling them 3 treatments and not one. Because guess what? If you sell them one because you don't think that they're going to invest in the overall 3 bundled package and price, then they're not going to be happy. And guess what? They're not going to come back. So when you really look at what top practices focus on, they focus on lifetime value, not one time sales. And the person that really is haggling you to just buy one, they're probably not going to buy into all of the other things that you want them to do because we're looking at it as a journey, a relationship, the value of this lifetime customer. And also, because our mission isn't do Botox and filler, our mission is to sell confidence through advanced aesthetics and regenerative and functional medicine. These aesthetic patients will probably become bioidentical hormone replacement patients. As they see their crepey skin happening around perimenopause and menopause, guess what? There's another solution that we're missing in another piece of the pie. And so we're able to really create that whole picture that the patient may be missing by just commoditizing or not really focusing on that recurring revenue or membership or continuity of care. What about weight loss subscriptions? So, all these things really play into the overall retention of a patient. And then we talk about leveraging high value services and regenerative treatments, biofillers, biostimulators, adding exosomes, combinations of therapies rather than just injectables. People are looking for the latest and greatest, and they're looking for alternatives sometimes to just dermal filler and Botox. That's the movement. That's the direction that our industry is going in. And they also want simplicity. They just want their face balanced and to look like they looked when they were a little younger. They don't want to look like Nicole Kidman or Courtney Cox. That's scary to them. That's one of the main reasons that people fear spending their money on aesthetics treatments. So we don't want just piecemeal treatments. We want the whole shebang. And then also something that was really pressed upon my business heart was the whole concept of price for value, not volume. The pricing strategy that keeps these high-powered businesses profitable, this is all about value. And what is value? Value is the amount of money that someone is willing to pay for something because they find it that much value. And it is no longer about a dollar amount. There's such a different way to position what you're selling someone. And it's why the highest performing practices aren't discounting services. I have taken some flack for pulling our annual sale that we used to do. We would do a ton of revenue during that sale. But you know what? It really wasn't fair for the people that are bought in and come to us for everything, their hormones, their Botox, their filler. It didn't make sense for us to just sell all these lots of Botox and have people just come to us because we had a sale. I want people that are fully bought in, and of course, I'm going to reward them by having memberships and different packages that benefit them, but it no longer was something that I wanted to placate. I wasn't looking to just discount services and make no money on those things and try to sell on like it just didn't make sense. I want people that are fully bought in, see the value of what we're bringing, see the value of the education that we continue to go get and bring back, and the value of the visionary leadership that we have that is all focused on excellence for our patients. Okay, number 3, leadership and team culture. This is something that top practices focus on. They have the right people in the right seats, and they are hiring for unique abilities. Um, you know, unique abilities, what is that? Unique ability is essentially something that you're super passionate about. Unique abilities are the things that you have a superior skill for. They're the things that give you passion and energy and just striving for never ending improvement. And these are the things that, as a person in a team, you should be focusing on. You should not be focusing on things that you're just competent at, or let alone the things that you're not competent at. For example, I should not be managing schedules or creating processes or writing trainings for programs because I do not like it. I fail. I have conflict. I find it super frustrating. I get super frozen. It's stressful to me, and so it's recognizing what are those things and please spend 0 time on them. Uh, one thing that people will say when I say that is, well, who's going to do them? You got to find your who, because the very things that you really dislike doing are the very things that other people are going to love. So it's a really beautiful thing once you start to open up your team to this unique ability advantage. Um, you know, I do like to point out too that keep a close eye on those excellent activities that you may be participating in. These are things that you do have a superior skill for. They are things that gave you the reputation and probably put you in some of the rooms that you're sitting in, but you don't have passion for them anymore. And they might have been your unique abilities before, but you now uh, can delegate them and give them to other people because you've gotten the ball rolling. You just no longer have the same passion for them, but you're good at them. So it's time to take that hat off and give it to someone else. But those ones are actually really, really hard to do. Okay. And then another thing that leadership and team culture within that category of how successful entrepreneurs really what they focus on is they train and develop their team constantly. The investment in ongoing training, skill building, team growth. Um, I have my team, like I said, doing that 21-day positive mindset shift. We also just took the Colby A index, which is a cognitive skills test where it shows your internal motivators, things that make you tick, and kind of ways to avoid friction within team members to really hone in on what you need in order to make a decision and to move forward with projects that you may be given. Also, just creating a culture of accountability, of excellence. Like I mentioned, we all check in every day. We show up for meetings every Monday. I have noticed before when there's, team members that may be missing from a meeting, it's crazy how people that aren't able to show up on that meeting date, how they're kind of left out of the loop. They really miss a lot of the steam that's building and the locomotion towards where our goals are going because that team culture and getting together and in rah rah, like here's where we're going. Also, just the transparency of why we're doing what we're doing. I've noticed that that's just really created a lot of synergy in my team and just developing all of our processes. This is just so important for, I mentioned transparency. If you aren't sharing, for me, I'm a pretty transparent business owner. I like to share numbers, I like to share where we are. And for me, that just really helps the vision be shared by all. Another thing in the realm of leadership and team culture is building a self managing business. There is no way that I could show up and do all of the systems and processes that happen every single day in my business. There is no way. This allows my business to, first of all, do more, but also run without micromanagement. I don't like to micromanage. I don't know anyone who wants to be micromanaged. And it's, man, it is an art to remove yourself as, the previous top producer to really help be that visionary and that leader. Like take yourself out of those day-to-day operations. Me coming down to Florida has been a huge exercise because it really highlights where my business could be still weak or team members that might need a little bit more support. I did this last year. It was really painful. This year has been a lot less. And so it really highlights for me where I still need to hone in on some different processes that need to be buttoned up. Okay, so in conclusion, I think that really recapping these lessons, success is not random. Top practices follow specific patterns. And this morning, I was doing some reading and really thinking about going back to those, goal setting, for example. I think that there are, you know, efforts and habits, whether they are habit goals or achievement goals um, that you have, but it's your behaviors, your actions, your processes that are within your control. And I think that a lot of people get so caught up in having the goal and striving toward it, but they're not focusing on the actual habits that make those things happen. You can't really control the outcome. I can set a revenue goal of $10 million dollars for my business this year. And what am I going to do if I don't hit that? Well, not much. There's not a lot that I can control. Things can happen. Like look at 2020 or, unforeseen events when I talked about, all of my employees stealing, a whole bunch of stuff and starting their own business and opening up shop down the road. That is the reality of what can happen. You can't control that, but what you can control is what you're inputting and the actionable steps that you're putting towards showing up and working on. And so, even though, you can't control that part, you can control how you move forward. You can control what, how you show up for your team. You can ask yourself, how can I refine these processes? You can ask yourself, am I being consistent? Because consistency will equal the results. You can then say what's working and what's not. You want to repeat successful actions, and then that's going to equal hitting your goals and even exceeding them. So I think that, like think about our weight loss patients, for example. If we are saying that they have a goal of losing 50 pounds, well, we don't have a lot of control over how many pounds they lose. But what they can control is, are they following the essential commitments? Are they hitting their macros for protein? Are they getting 10,000 steps? Are they prioritizing their sleep hygiene? Are they drinking enough water? Are they being patient with the process? So, are they resistance training? Those habits are going to equal the 50-pound weight loss. It doesn't just happen on its own. So, I really think if we stop focusing or willing the end result or the goal, we focus on the actual steps, the actionable next steps of auditing our business, and are we working on the business or are we just working in it and hoping that those goals happen? Implement one strategy today, whether it's packaging treatments, creating a patient journey that works for your office, pricing for value. Take it from me, don't change everything at once. It's really hard on your team. I'm sorry, guys, if you're listening to this, but really the call to action is just one thing at a time and really focusing on the small incremental steps because that is honestly the work that most people don't want to put in, which is wild, but it's true. If this resonated with you, I would really love it if you share it with a colleague or tag me on Instagram. And if you're serious about scaling, just stay in touch with me. Follow the conferences that I speak at. I'm always an open book at referring who I've used for business coaching and what's worked for me. And until next time, with what is next on my crazy brain, I enjoyed this whatever 30 minutes with you guys. Maybe it was a little longer. I could have rambled longer, but stay in touch with us via Instagram. You can find that in the show notes, and I will be back here same time next week.